Let's go to Michelle Obama. The story on Michelle Obama, her look at her radical college past. The people she was hanging out with were radical. Sure, I would say that. Yes. She attended and promoted Black Solidarity event for guest lecturer Manning Marable, who, according to Cornell West, was probably the best-known black Marxist in the country. The event is the work of the Third World Center, a campus group whose board membership was exclusively reserved for minorities. And you have a picture of her welcoming him. Michelle Obama Robinson at the time, was one of the 19 board members and the leader of the organization. She helped to dispense what was, in today's dollars, a $30,000 budget, one of the elected positions on the board, and there were 2 reserved spots for 5 ethnic groups: Asian, Black, Chicano, Puerto Rican, and Native American. If you're white, you don't get on the board. The board also had representatives from the various minority organizations on campus. And this is, by the way, while she was at Princeton. And they also claimed that white students on campus are racist. If there's ever an example of the TWC governing board's obsession with race, it's an editorial from October 21st, 1981, where members took great offense to the op-ed titled "Rebuilding Race Relations," calling the article racist, offensive, and inaccurate for daring to question the group's true commitment to build a thesis on race relations counter to its own. The word rebuilding, quoting, implies that race relations once existed and for some mysterious reason fell apart. We, on the other hand, believe that race relations have never been and are still not at a satisfactory level. We are not rebuilding. We cannot rebuild something that never existed in the first place. Don't hide behind excuses such as lack of effort to integrate with Princeton campus. On our part, the bottom line is white students on this campus are racist, whether they realize it or not. Princeton itself, however, was concerned about the self-segregation of black students and proposed reforms to counter it, including no longer permitting black students to all room together in one dorm and integrating black freshmen into the general student body. Think of this. Michelle Obama is part of a group that wants segregation. She's a segregationalist in college. She's hanging with a group that says we should segregate. That's crazy. Unless it's okay now to segregate, as long as it's the other race that wants it. The TWC strenuously opposed all of these reforms, arguing that integration of non-white students would harm the support system available to them, especially blacks. Michelle Obama was not part of the board until 1981. As part of the board member of the Third World Center starting on April 7th, 1983, she joined in a different racially charged statement reproaching the college for not doing enough to hire Latino administrators. Or judges, maybe, later in life. The search needs to produce another experienced individual who's of minority background, preferably Latino. What? I mean, you know, if we're gonna have quotas, I want quotas on basketball teams. I want every college in America to have quotas on basketball teams. I want to have an even number that represents the population of whites and blacks and Asians, and I want quotas.
I want my reparations against Asian Americans because they continually earn more than white people. They continually outperform white people on educational exams. Why is that? There's some sort of internal favoritism going on towards Asians, isn't there?
There sure is.
Mm-hmm.
At my oldest daughter's graduation ceremony, she went to high school for the last few years, and 9 of the top 10 in the class, Asians.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. Shown
favoritism.
They put
something in your Chinese
some
food.
sort of discrimination against white people.
Your Asian salad,
yeah.
They put something in it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I believe.
Smart juice, I think, is in it. They put some sort of smart juice.
In yours, dummy drugs.
Well, yes. Mm-hmm. But in the Asians, they got smart juice.
Yeah.
So.
Seriously. Why don't we campaign for quotas on basketball teams?
Well, yeah,
They'll never do it.
The history of in the NFL, the running back position is amazing. I mean, it's been 30 years, and there's been one white running back with over 1,000 yards. There's almost no starting.
Weather racism.
Well, there's Craig James back in the 80s,
Okay.
and then I want to say Peyton Hillis did it recently to break that streak. But it had been decades.
Wow.
There you can go through Division One. I mean, these stats are a couple of years old, but you go through Division One college football, and there's something like 3 starting white tailbacks in the entire in all of college football, Division One. It's something ridiculous like that. And I mean, does that mean that we should start having quotas for white running backs? Who would ever suggest such a thing? It's absurd. I mean, I don't. The whole point is, and this goes back to even what Romney said with the binders of women thing. That is not how you make decisions. You don't base it on genitalia.
No.
You base it on who is best for a job. You don't go out with a binder of women and look for the best woman. You go out and look for the best person. That's how you make decisions.
Here's what Michelle Obama's little sorority club was talking about in 1983. Now, she's on the board now for 2 years. This is what the board says. The term third world implies for us those nations who have fallen victim to the oppression and exploitation of the world economic order. This includes people of color in the United States, as they too often have been victims of a brutal and racist economic structure.
Amen.
Now, didn't Barack Obama talk about the economic structure? Didn't he talk about how racist the economic structure was and how the economic structure needs to be changed? That's what he's doing right now. He's changing the economic structure. When he talks about the fundamental transformation of America, this is what he's talking about. That includes the people of color in the United States. They have been victims of the brutal and racist economic structure, which exploited and still exploits the labor of such groups as Asians, blacks, Chicanos, and invaded and still occupies the homelands of such groups as the Puerto Ricans, the American Indians, and the Native Hawaiian people. This is, again, why he was at, remember when Fort Hood shooting? Where was he? He was making it with the Indians, and he was giving a shout-out to the chief medicine man, because that's what he's doing. He is apologizing for all of the horrors that America has done to all the oppressed people. That's why he went on his so-called apology tour. We therefore find it necessary to re-educate ourselves to the various forms of exploitation and oppression. We must strive to understand that more than just the basics of human rights. We must seek to understand the historic roots and contemporary ramifications of racism if the third world is to liberate themselves from economic and social chains they find themselves in. This is why the president took away our oil leases in the Gulf and gave a lot of money and helped Brazil, because that's a third world country. And we have oppressed them by having the resources and exploiting the resources. So he's going to take our resource, redistribute it down to Brazil so they can free themselves of the oppressive chains that we have put on. That's what's happening, gang. Michelle Obama has believed it her whole life. It's why when she said she's never been proud of her country, she meant it. It's when she says, Barack Obama knows we're going to have to change our history and our traditions. That's really what she means. She talked about it in 1983. This is it. This is who they are. They're anti-colonialists. They believe America has oppressed the rest of the world. They're not bad people. They just believe something entirely different. Entirely different than the average person in Ohio. Entirely different than the average person in Wisconsin. Entirely different than those people who are the average people in Michigan and in Virginia. Entirely different. If that's who you want, see, they'll never say it, but they've said it a million different ways, and they have said it consistently their whole lives. We're the oppressor, and they have to help the third world. That's what's happening. And if you don't believe it, well, then it's too late. But if you do think that there's anything worth checking out, check it out at The Blaze. Read it. Read that article at The Blaze. It's Michelle Obama at Princeton. Read the article. Quickly read the president's own book. That's who he is. Go see the movie 2016. Go get the video on at Amazon.com right now on the project. It's available now online at GBTV, or theblaze.com/TV, or you can buy it and have it overnighted to you for your friends and give it to them. And you can get it at Amazon, The Project. On Thursday, we have another documentary coming out called The Machine, and it's all about how the left is stealing the election, and it will blow your mind. That's Thursday night on the Blaze TV at 8 p.m. Educate yourself. Educate yourself, because we're down to 7 days.